I thought posting cryptic, sad quotes on social media would make my boyfriend love me more. Now he's gone and I'm all alone. The silence in this apartment is so loud. I mean, it's a physical thing, you know? It presses on my eardrums, a constant humming reminder of how empty this place is now. My thumb just keeps moving, scrolling like it's got a mind of its own. Down, down, down my own Instagram feed. It's a digital monument to my own stupidity, all those moody quotes. You shouldn't have to beg for attention. God. Silence is the most powerful scream. Each one was a little jab, a pathetic, passive-aggressive plea for him, for Otto, to just look at me. Now they're just evidence. Proof of every single time I chose a public performance of sadness over a private conversation. How did I get it so wrong? How did I actually manage to destroy the best thing in my life with this? When I met Otto, it was like taking a full, deep breath after nearly drowning. Seriously. Before him, there was Derek, a 2-year relationship that ended with me finding texts on his phone from some girl he was screwing. That whole experience it broke something inside me. It planted this ugly little seed of doubt that I could never quite dig out. I started believing that love was something you had to constantly fight for, to monitor, to protect like a hawk, or it would just be snatched away. I became this needy, suspicious person I didn't even recognize. Then Otto came along. He's an urban planner, which is so perfectly him. He's methodical, calm, and he sees the world in structures and systems that make sense. He didn't just walk into my life, he carefully laid down a foundation. He was consistent. He called when he said he would. He remembered the stupid little things I'd tell him, like my obsession with a specific brand of tea or the name of my childhood dog. With him, for the first time in years, the frantic noise in my head started to quiet down. He felt safe. He felt like home. But that ugly little seed from Derek was still there, buried deep. And Otto's quiet nature, the very thing that made me feel safe, sometimes fed it. He wasn't a huge talker. He showed his love through actions, making me coffee in the morning, fixing my rattling car door, just being there. But I, conditioned by drama, needed words. I needed constant verbal reassurance. I remember one night early on, we were watching a movie and some couple was having this massive, screaming fight on screen. I made a joke about it, something like, well, at least they're communicating. Otto just got this weird look on his face. He turned to me and said, so seriously, you know my parents did that. They aired all their dirty laundry, fought in front of friends, family, anyone who would listen. It was humiliating. He shook his head. I swore I'd never do that. Whatever happens between two people should stay between those two people. It's about respect. I just nodded, it seemed reasonable. I didn't realize it then, but he had just drawn a line in the sand. He was telling me in his quiet, Otto way exactly what he couldn't tolerate, and I, like an idiot, wasn't even listening. The first time I did it, it felt justified. I swear it did. It was our second anniversary, and Otto had been completely buried in this huge midtown revitalization project. For weeks, he'd been coming home late, smelling like stale coffee and blueprints, his mind a million miles away. I tried to be understanding, I really did. But he promised he'd be home by 7 for our anniversary dinner. I'd cooked his favorite meal, bought a new dress, the whole stupid cliché. 7 o'clock came and went, then 8, then 9. I called, it went to voicemail. I texted, no reply. And that old, familiar chill started creeping up my spine. The he's forgetting about me, he doesn't care feeling. The Derek feeling. My brain knew he was probably just stuck in a meeting, but my heart was screaming that I was being abandoned all over again. I could have called again, I could have sent a text saying, hey, I'm really hurt. But that felt confrontational, needy, so I did something else. I went into the bathroom, messed up my hair a little, and took about 20 pictures until I found one where I looked perfectly, artfully miserable. I made it black and white, of course, and then I posted it. The caption was a real masterpiece of passive aggression. Some people will never understand how loud silence can be. God, I hate myself just saying it out loud. The rush was immediate, the likes started trickling in, friends commented, you okay, hun, and thinking of you. It was this gross, instant validation. For a little while, I wasn't just a girl sitting alone in her apartment, I was the tragic heroine of a story everyone was watching. 2 hours later, just after 11, my front door opened. There was Otto. He looked like he'd been through a war. His tie was loose, his eyes were bloodshot with exhaustion, and in his hand he was holding a slightly wilted bouquet of gas station roses. The first words out of his mouth weren't about the project or his phone dying. They were, I'm so sorry, Elle, my phone died hours ago. I just got to my car and saw your post. God, I'm such an idiot. He came over and just wrapped me in his arms, apologizing into my hair. He felt guilty. He felt like a bad boyfriend. And all I felt was this wave of triumphant relief. He saw it, he understood I was hurting, he came home, and right then in that moment, a horrible little switch flipped in my brain. It wasn't a conscious thought, it was deeper than that, it was a feeling. A sick, dangerous little whisper that said, this works. That anniversary success was like giving a drug to an addict. It taught my broken brain the worst possible lesson, that this pathetic, indirect performance of pain was more effective than an honest conversation. And so, my Instagram feed became my primary mode of communication, my emotional battleground. It could be anything, honestly. The triggers were so small, so insignificant, it's embarrassing to even think about them now. I remember we had planned a weekend trip upstate, a little cabin getaway I'd been looking forward to for a month. On Friday afternoon, an hour before we were supposed to leave, he called. There was a crisis at work, a zoning issue, and he had to be there all weekend. He sounded genuinely crushed, but all I heard was, work is more important than you. I didn't scream. I didn't cry, I just said, okay, fine, in a flat voice, hung up and immediately picked up my phone. I posted a picture from our last vacation together, us smiling on a beach, and wrote, memories are a painful reminder of what is no longer a priority. It got 100 likes in an hour. When he finally came home late that night, exhausted and apologetic, he saw the post. I watched him, he didn't get worried this time, he just deflated. Like a balloon someone had pricked. He looked at his phone, then looked at me, and this profound weariness settled over his face. He didn't say a word about it. He just said, I'm going to take a shower, and left the room. That night, for the first time, he slept on the very edge of his side of the bed, a physical chasm between us. That became the new normal. He stopped reacting. He stopped liking any of my posts, not even the neutral ones of my lunch or a sunset. It was a digital cold shoulder. He was building a wall, brick by silent brick, and each one of my posts was the mortar. He'd come home, and if he saw me on my phone with that specific, focused look on my face, he'd just turn around and find something to do in the other room. The easy, casual touches, a hand on my back as he passed me in the kitchen, his arm around me on the sofa, they vanished completely. And the truly sick part, the part that makes my stomach turn now, his silence didn't make me stop, it made me escalate. His withdrawal felt like indifference. In my twisted, trauma-wired brain, his refusal to engage wasn't a sign that I was hurting him. It was proof that he didn't care enough to fight. It was a challenge. Oh, you think you can ignore me? I'll get louder. The quotes became more pointed, more specific, more accusatory. I stopped being vaguely sad and started being vaguely angry. I posted things like, you can't build a future with someone who is still living in their work emails. Or the one that I know really cut him deep, after he went for drinks with a colleague instead of coming straight home. Never make someone your priority when all you are to them is an option. I honestly thought I was fighting for us. I thought if I could just make him see how much he was hurting me, through this public record of my pain, he would finally change. I never once stopped to consider that I wasn't just reporting on the damage, I was the one causing it. The breaking point came at the party. It was supposed to be a celebration for him, a huge one. The city had officially approved his firm's proposal for a new waterfront development, a project Otto had poured his soul into for over a year. His company threw a party at a swanky downtown bar to celebrate the team, but really, everyone knew it was the Otto show. And he was shining, I'd never seen him like that. He was surrounded, constantly, by colleagues clapping him on the back, by senior partners shaking his hand, by his boss telling everyone how lucky they were to have him. He was confident, charming, and so happy, and I felt completely invisible. I was standing off to the side, nursing a glass of wine, and it was like I was behind a pane of glass. He'd catch my eye and give me a quick, brilliant smile, but then someone else would pull him into a conversation. I know, it was his night. A normal girlfriend would have been beaming with pride, but my broken brain just whispered, see, he doesn't need you, look how happy he is without you. That familiar, cold dread started to pool in my stomach. I felt pathetic. So I did the only thing I knew how to do. I pulled out my phone, slipped into a darker corner of the bar, and took a picture of my wine glass with the blurry, laughing crowd in the background. And the caption, I typed, so proud to watch you shine, even if it's from the shadows. I hit post. Maybe 5 minutes later, I saw one of his coworkers, a woman named Brenda, look at her phone, then look over at me with a confused, pitying expression. Then she walked over to Otto. I watched, my heart hammering in my chest, as she tapped his shoulder and showed him her screen. I wasn't close enough to hear what she said, but I didn't need to be. I saw Otto's smile not just fade, but get wiped clean off his face. I saw all the light and joy just go out. His eyes darted from the phone to me across the room. It was only for a second, but in that look, I saw a profound and final level of disappointment I had never seen before. The public humiliation. The exact thing he'd told me was his one absolute deal breaker. It was happening. Right here, right now, in front of everyone who mattered to him. He said something brief to Brenda, then turned and started walking towards me. His face was a perfect blank mask. There was no anger, no sadness, nothing. It was the most terrifying thing I had ever seen. "Get your coat," he said, his voice flat and dead. "We're leaving." The car ride home was 10 minutes of the loudest silence I have ever experienced. It was worse than any screaming match. He just stared straight ahead, hands gripping the steering wheel at 10 and 2, his knuckles white. I kept opening my mouth to say something, an excuse, an apology, anything, but the air was so thick with his disappointment, the words just died in my throat. The second we walked through the apartment door, the dam broke. I started in with my usual script, the tears, the frantic explanations. "I just felt so alone, Otto. You were talking to everyone but me. I just wanted you to notice me." I was reaching for him, trying to touch his arm, but he took a step back, physically recoiling from me. "Don't," he said. His voice wasn't loud, but it cut through my hysterics like a shard of glass. It was calm, final, that's what scared me the most. "Aloan," he said, and he used my full name, which he never did. "I'm tired." He let out a long, slow breath, like he was releasing something he'd been holding onto for a very, very long time. "I'm so tired of this, of walking on eggshells, of checking your Instagram feed to find out how you're feeling, of having our private problems broadcast to the world as some kind of performance." He gestured vaguely around the living room. "This apartment, our life, it should be our safe place, but you've installed a one-way mirror. You've invited everyone in to watch me fail you over and over again. All of our friends, my colleagues, they all know our business. They all know when you're unhappy. Everyone knows before I do." He finally looked at me and his eyes were just empty. The love I was so used to seeing there was gone. It had been replaced by a deep, settled exhaustion. "I cannot be in a relationship with someone who is constantly trying to convince the world that I don't love them," he said, each word precise and devastating. "I can't do it anymore, it's over." My entire world just stopped. It was like he'd spoken a foreign language. "Over? What are you talking about? Because of a stupid post?" "Otto, I'll delete it. I'll delete all of them. I'm sorry." I was full on begging now, ugly crying, snot and tears everywhere. I was a complete mess, but it didn't matter. It was like he wasn't even seeing me anymore. "It's not about the post, Elle," he said softly, and that was almost worse. "It's about all of them. It's about why you do it. I can't fix what's broken inside you, and I can't keep letting it break me in the process." And with that, he walked into our bedroom. I followed him, still pleading, but he just calmly opened the closet, pulled out a duffel bag, and started packing. A few shirts, his toothbrush, his laptop. He moved with a quiet efficiency that terrified me. It wasn't an act, it was a decision that had already been made. He was just executing the plan. He zipped the bag, walked past me without a glance, and went to the front door. "Otto, please," I whispered, my voice raw. "Please don't go." He stopped with his hand on the doorknob, his back to me. For a second, I thought he might turn around, but he didn't. "Goodbye, Eloan." And then he was gone. The door clicked shut, and the silence he left behind was absolute, and that brings me back to here. Now, sitting on the sofa in the deafening quiet, a week after that door clicked shut. He blocked my number, my texts don't deliver, my calls go straight to void, but he didn't block me on social media. I don't know if it was an oversight or an act of final, passive cruelty, but it has become my own personal, customized hell. My life has completely stalled. I called in sick to work all week, using some vague excuse about a stomach flu. I can't eat. The mountain of takeout containers on my coffee table is a testament to my failed attempts. The apartment is a mess, and I can't bring myself to clean it. Every corner holds a memory of him, and tidying up feels like erasing the last traces of his existence. I've tried calling our mutual friends. The conversations are excruciatingly awkward. I can hear the discomfort in their voices when I bring up Otto. "Oh yeah, that's really tough, Elle. I'm so sorry you're going through that," they say, the sympathy strained and thin. They don't offer any information. They don't want to be involved. I can feel them pulling away, distancing themselves from the drama I so publicly curated. I'm radioactive and they all know it, so all I have left is my phone. It's the first thing I check in the morning and the last thing I see at night. I refresh his Instagram, his Facebook, his LinkedIn probably 100 times an hour. It's a sickness, a compulsion I'm looking for, I don't even know what, a sign of regret. A sad post of his own, a clue, then last night I found it, not on his page but on someone else's. One of our mutual friends, a girl named Jess, posted a story. It was a group of them at a bar, laughing, and in the background, tucked into a booth, was Otto. He wasn't laughing, but he was talking, leaning in, listening to someone, a small, genuine smile on his face. He looked okay, he looked like he was moving on. Seeing that picture, it was like a physical blow. It knocked the air out of my lungs because it finally truly hit me. His life didn't end when he walked out that door. His world kept spinning, but mine stopped. I'm trapped here in this silent apartment, a prisoner in the digital panopticon I built for myself. All I can do is scroll through my own feed, looking at the cryptic, pathetic breadcrumbs that led me to this exact moment, and then switch over to his, watching from the shadows as he walks further and further away.